tell me we're on. We are on. We are on. Yeah. Looks like I need a haircut. We're on one? We're on one.
You're on one.
Welcome to Udicci.TV. This is Udicci Updates, that thing we do each and every week when we bring you up to speed on all the happenings that happened between last week this time and today this time. And it's been a really slow week. Okay, no, well, okay, it hasn't been an incredibly slow week. There's never really a slow week. Yeah, there's been a lot going on. But I gotta wait for the thumbs up from Tim to say, yep, we actually have sound and the world can hear what it is that I'm saying. We're gonna be doing that test thing. It takes about, somewhere between 5 seconds and 1 minute, depending on what it is that we're doing. And Tim says that we have sound. Tim says that we have sound. So now I have to ask, what are we talking about tonight?
I don't know. You didn't think about that, really, did you?
We did not think about that earlier. We did not think about that earlier. So what are we talking about tonight? So a couple things. Actually, there are some cool updates for tonight. One of the first things for those of you who have engaged with Udicci and have signed in, which is not many of you, but a few of you, this week we will be doing yet another release, which is kind of wonderful because the releases are happening quicker, faster, better, and that's, it's one of those things. Tim and I have this kind of weird little idiosyncrasy within us that after 5 years you'd think we would have learned to live with and haven't, but it's like it's never good enough. Let's keep it moving forward. And we keep trying to make these improvements, but this next improvement in the software is pretty nice, very nice. It's much quicker, flows much better. It's going to allow us to do some presentations now. We're trying to put the presentations together so that people can kind of learn more about it. And basically, we're able to now go back and all of this stuff we've been doing for the past 2 years, we're going to be able to start breaking it down and to make sense into it and what that'll look like. So hopefully very soon we'll get a few more people who are just joining, being able to share your perspectives. And what we're looking for is just more community input. We're actually just looking for people to jump on and try to help us, move forward a little bit quicker, faster, better kind of thing. And we know that very soon that's good. That quicker, better, faster thing is going to happen. It's going to be like a dam that's going to be breaking. There's going to be a ton of water behind it. It's going to be a tidal wave, and you won't be able to get out of the way. And everybody's going to be like, "Wow, what is this Udicci thing? Where did it come from? It's like this overnight thing that it's not overnight." Anyways. So there's that thing. If you haven't yet engaged, go to Udicci.com, Udicci.me, Udicci.us, Udicci.something. I don't think we have Udicci.something.
No.
I wonder if there is a dot something. Anyways, go to the Udicci something and just hit engage, sign up. We'll kind of send you your login, and it'll actually you're gonna have to update the video. You're going to have to update the video. And I think we'll probably start changing it up a little bit. There's a lot, we're going to be focusing on the Citizens 585, but that's really going to start taking shape in, specific actions that's going on. So, little Citizen 585 update. Again, all that's still very much moving forward. In fact, tonight we're going to be talking about the community co-ops and what that means, because when it comes right down to it, we live in a very selfish country, and maybe the world, and maybe it's actually just human nature, and I guess that's okay, right? We all kind of act out of self-preservation, and if you're an evolutionist, you kind of think that the fittest survive, and that early on in life, one amoeba attacked the other amoeba because the one amoeba was bad and thought the other amoeba was better. I don't know. But the idea is that we live in this thing that, we kind of want to make sure that we take care of ourselves and take care of our own. I do believe that that's about to flip on its head, and we're living in a community and society where we actually do see the value of taking care of others as well as ourselves, and we're starting to see that change over. So tonight we're going to be talking about the community co-ops, which is this whole idea of how we can actually get out into the community, help other people, not only just like help them, in the way, just in every way, help them. But while helping them, you get to profit. That's kind of cool, right? Like now you will have a financial benefit by helping other people. Think about that for a moment. Would you be willing to help somebody if it could help your bank account? Tune in tonight for community co-ops. Let's see. So after the community co-ops, we have, what else are we talking about? Some really cool things happening in Rochester that not a lot of people are even aware of. I think very shortly we're going to launch another little channel. Again, nobody even understands these channels that we're going right now, but hey, nonetheless, we're going to be launching another channel that really starts to focus on some of the media companies and the media growth that's happening here in Rochester, because it's super cool. And I know that did we show any of the Magic interview yet?
No, we have not yet.
So we're going to actually have to figure out a time with Magic. If you're not familiar with Magic out at RIT, get familiar with Magic out at RIT. They are doing just amazing and sometimes almost scary kind of thoughts where you're kind of gamifying everything or creating interactive media that is for the that includes, if you will, behavior modification, and that gets a little bit scary. And you know, you got to love these different ethical issues that technology creates, which is like when we begin to create technology that while you're using it, it is learning more about you, and while it learns about you, its purpose is to guide you in the direction to learn something that it wants you to learn. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, let me take that step back for a second. What time do we go to break?
1 minute.
1 minute. You know what? When we come back from break, we'll talk about the whole idea of how technology is forming our culture and how we're actually creating technology that, well, directs you to act in a manner that it was written to have you act. Weird, right? Weird. So we're going to go to break, and when we come back, robot years. are back. We were just talking about the drones, right? Those can get a little bit scary. They can actually get a little scary when you start to think about it. I mean, they're cool. And that's kind of a really wild thing. And I know that this won't mean much to the people out there, but HTML, that little language that's been around forever, that's actually what they're building these games on now, so they can be delivered everywhere. But everything that you do, every time, every touch of the button, they know what you're doing, where you're doing it, and they're tracking it. And the games, largely they use those things to actually make the games a little more difficult, a little more easy, depending on, what kind of game you're playing and what they want it to be. But it's pretty amazing. It's very amazing stuff. It can get very scary depending on how you want to look at it. But we had Andy Phelps and Jennifer Hinton from over here from Magic, which is over at RIT. And Magic is this really kind of cool program that exists. It's a non-academic program that's over at RIT. But I guess they did say there are some things that they could earn a credit or a couple credits. But for the most part, it's like a non-academic program. And what they're doing is they're actually, part of their mission is to look at how technology is affecting society. And then to develop technology in a way that can affect society. It largely has turned into a gaming type situation where they're creating some really incredible games, but the kind of purpose of the model that they're working on over there is that if a student has an idea or they think that they may have an interest in the gaming or the interactive medias or that kind of world, and as opposed to going to a regular course curriculum, they can go over to Magic and they can be a part of the entire process of taking a piece of interactive media from conception to market. And if it's their own idea, they can actually profit with the organization as a whole. So it's kind of like this, I guess for lack of a better term, it's kind of a co-op built inside of RIT, and they will work with the students to completely have the, let's say that it happens to be a game, they'll completely develop the game, they'll go through the entire marketing of the game, they'll learn how to create the business plan for it, the business model for it, and they'll get out there and sell it. And if it profits, the student profits. And along the way, the student actually got to experience all of these different aspects of something that they may otherwise not. And it's interesting because when we think about the way education as a whole right now is laid out, largely we go, okay, you're going to go into this field. And I get, we keep narrowing it and narrowing it. But we often don't really get to experience what it is we're choosing to study, right? And then we go, like, I didn't really like it. So this actually gives them an opportunity to experience a wider view of what it is that they're studying before they take and go down the path of their advanced degrees. So it's some really cool stuff that's going on at RIT. I think it was Dell. Was it Dell and Cisco? Yep. Just gave them a huge grant that they're actually putting up this new studio out there. And we got into this whole conversation about the studio and what that looks like. And it was extraordinarily encouraging to me to find out that Rochester is becoming this little, you can't call it little, what do you call it, micro, what is it? Like this little mecca of micro media production. I mean, we're not talking about feature films, right? We're not talking about Hollywood here that goes put out a blockbuster. We're talking about games. We're talking about short film. We're talking about interactive media. And apparently Rochester is becoming well known around the country as the place to go to get this done. And I was very encouraged by that. I'm like, but why aren't more people hearing about that? Why is it the only thing we hear about in the DNC is all the negative that's happening? And if we could actually start to hear about this really cool thing that's going on, then maybe more people would be excited about the future of Rochester. And Jennifer goes on to share that it's a 90 plus billion, but I believe it was a $93.8 billion industry. It's actually a bigger industry than all of Hollywood. Right? And I mean, that's just nuts. And to think that we're becoming a leader of it here in Rochester. And today we had an opportunity to meet with Jason over at Working Man, which is it's another one of these studios. I got about 50 people working over there. They just put out their first IP, their first game that they did completely in-house, and they actually do development for a number of big name organizations around the country. And many of the games that our kids are playing, that people are playing, are being developed right here in Rochester, and most people don't know that. So it's very exciting. At the same time, these games they offer us incredible opportunity to shape and mold the future. That we could actually start to use games to teach things like entrepreneurship. There's one of the things I saw recently that I thought was, I think you shared it, Bill. I think it was, why don't we start teaching our children instead of, to get educated to get a job, to actually go out and learn how to produce a job, right? We need to become job creators instead of simply people who seek a job, right? If the more people that learn how to create jobs, the more jobs that will be available. We can actually use games to teach that. Think about that. We can actually start teaching and educating the process of building successful businesses while people are holding that game controller and sitting behind their TV. It's pretty incredible. It is really incredible, and it's going on right here in Rochester. We had a name of another gentleman we need to reach out to who's doing a pretty cool series, and it is our goal to actually start sharing more about that media. And I guess, if anything, I'm declaring Rochester's, Udicci is going to become the good news network in Rochester. For whatever else you want to call it, we're going to keep it real, right? Because poverty is real, and we're not going to lose track of what that is. But keep in mind, we can actually use games now to fight poverty. And it's right here in Rochester, and we have those resources. Now, when we come back, I'll share about kind of the negative side of that, it's just because the creepy conspiracy theory side is always a little bit more fun to talk about. And that seems to be what gets shared all over the internet. So maybe our creepiness will get shared all over the internet. We'll be back. And we're back. Now imagine this. Imagine you're playing your favorite game, and you're sitting here going, wow, this is fun. Wow, this is fun, right? And you're out there trying to do everything you can do to make sure that you beat this game. And all the while, the game is tracking every move that you're making. It knows when you're ready to move left. It knows when you're ready to move right. And it wants to guide you down a path. So it keeps adjusting the game. Your mind is being taught how to navigate this game, and you're getting good at it. In the beginning, it's just a lot of fun. You're just kind of running down a path, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're having all sorts of fun. And you get that every time you go here, that you get something good. And every time you go here, you get something even better. So you continue to run down this path, and you go here and you go there, and it's good. And you go here and you go there, and it's better. And you go here and you go there, and it's really getting great. And then you go here and you go there, and you start getting charged. You go here and then you get another purchase, and over here and you get another cost. Over here, yeah, right? Imagine if that's the way the games were being built. Just think about that. That we're very, very familiar with in-app purchases right now. People will go and get a free app, or maybe they'll spend that $1.99 app, and when we want to open up something new, we just end up, hey, an extra 30 cents, hey, an extra $1, hey, an extra $2. And now in games, we start to see that same thing, like I can power up and it's over here. But normally we have to go to this configuration thing. But what happens that it's as you're playing the game, you're racking up those costs? What happens about that? Now, it's we're only about a week away, a couple more days than a week away from Halloween. So maybe that's just a scary thought to let sit in your head. But what if it was real? Dun, dun, dun. Anyways, if it was real.
If it is already is.
If it is already is. And I guess that's kind of what brings us to the point in the grand scheme of things. The economy is changing. The world is changing. The way we interact with one another is changing. The way we purchase things are changing. The way we find out about our purchases is changing. In every manner, the economy and the social interactions are changing. We can pretend it's not going to work. We can say that we don't like it. Sit there and go, I don't like this social media thing. I don't think it's going to happen that way. Good luck stopping it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I run a social media production company, and I wish we did not have social media. I wish we got back to the point where we actually just had relationships, and when we got home at night, we could just take a few minutes, sit down with our TV dinner, put it on that TV tray, and watch TV without being inundated by our Facebook, because I have to respond to our Facebook. But I can't fight it. I know that it's going to happen. I actually also know that all of that information that technology is gathering has tremendous value. And we'll leave you with this. I was recently reading an article about the value of information. And what we're finding right now in the world is that we don't know how to truly value the information that we have. The article goes on to say that in large part, the information that we are gathering and that we are sharing is largely undervalued in the marketplace. Now let me put into terms what that means. Facebook has a market value of approximately $250 billion. $250 billion, largely because they're able to gather so much information and serve ads back to you. And they're saying that is just a scratch in the bucket to the true value of the information we have. And that information that we have largely is our knowledge. It's what we can share with one another that can build one another. But right now we're using that information simply to sell things. What happens when we begin to transfer the knowledge that we have to one another without the huge costs that we currently do that at things that we call like university, and that we start to put it into production instead of the extraction model that we currently have now, which ends up saying, just advertise to me. You can have my information for free, advertise to me. So the question becomes, what do we do with the reality that the amount of value on the data that is out there is about to be exponentially more than it is today? I simply have to ask this: are you going to profit from it? We'll be back with Bill Wishmeyer talking about community co-ops.